Thank you so much for coming here today to join us in celebrating the life of Linda Payne. For those who don't know me, my name's Lisa Baker-Spiller, and Linda was my mother-in-law. I was fortunate to have Linda in my life for almost 13 years and feel privileged to be part of remembering her today. Linda did not want a maudlin funeral service. She asked instead that we celebrate her life. Ever the hostess, the only two stipulations for today were that we offered people good food and something to drink. So I hope that you're enjoying the hors d'oeuvres from Blackfriars Catering, and we will be toasting her with some bubbly very soon. So 3 people will now be sharing their stories of Linda as a colleague, a friend, and a mother. Irene, would you like to start us off?
I need my glasses, just give me a moment. First, let me say how deeply honored I am to be able to read this piece from Maureen Dey. Maureen and Linda shared many years together as administrators, well, originally as teachers and then administrators, and I was blessed to have them as my chair and dean for many years. So this is a special honor for me to read Maureen's words. How to start to describe a friendship that existed over 38 years. Linda was my role model, mentor, and friend. We were both hired as full-time English teachers at Seneca in 1980 and started off in a bullpen-type office with several other women who had also been hired over that summer. Immediately, there was a sense of camaraderie and a willingness to share knowledge and materials that I had never experienced in any of the high schools I had worked in previously. Eventually, Linda moved into administration, and I followed her a few years later as we co-chaired the School of English with Frank Daly as our dean. It was wonderful to have Linda just 2 doors away to answer my questions, explain policies, and, in general, help me ease my way into being a chair and stay out of trouble. Linda provided the kind of support that I wished over the years could be available to all new academic administrators. We worked hard, but we had fun too, and if things were getting too serious, we could always count on Frank to jump up on a table and perform some politically incorrect accented monologue. Those were, as Irene, that's me, likes to say, the Camelot years for us. We tried to create an atmosphere of warmth and friendship. Linda would have everyone over for a holiday gathering. I hosted a potluck pool party each June. In between, we had lunches, bowling and curling games, and other social events. We gathered in our little coffee room to chat. Older faculty retired, and we hired new teachers whom we thought shared our philosophy of teaching English to college students. There were many hits and a few misses, and even a couple of instances where teachers were in the college but hadn't shown up for a class for 3 weeks before the students bothered to notify us. But mostly we kept the school on track. One year, it was our turn to host the annual college picnic. John Struthers had just joined us as a new chair, so we put him in charge of organizing the picnic as a full-time job. Best picnic ever. When Frank decided to move into teaching, Linda took over as dean, and I stayed on as chair of what was now the Faculty of English and Liberal Studies. In an attempt to make the liberal studies teachers feel a part of this larger entity, Linda moved up 1 floor to be just down the hall from their offices. I don't know whether it was strength or sheer stubbornness that made Linda stay there, even though death threats were being nailed to her office door daily. I begged her to come back to the fold, 1 floor down, but she insisted on staying put. Eventually, the college, Steve or Tony, are you there, had enough of our combined faculties shenanigans, and the faculties were reorganized, with ours being dismantled, and each school now reporting to the dean of that campus. Linda decided to return to teaching to, I believe, regain her sanity, while I remained in admin, moving up to the King campus. We didn't see as much of each other over the years leading up to her retirement, but we kept in touch. and I could see how much happier she was engaged in her first love, teaching. After Jim and Linda retired, the fun began. Doug and I would meet them in Stratford, and after a play, follow them back to Ilderton for a sleepover. Or we would come down for the weekend, throw them back into the back of our car, and head out to theater, Blythe, Port Stanley, or Petrolia. I was taken to places I never knew existed, like the beaches and beach towns of Lakes Erie and Huron. We visited historical sites, all things related to the Black Donnellys, or one year, to the Harriet Beecher Stowe Museum, ate fresh pickerel, and saw lots of plays. Jim was always a fount of knowledge wherever we went, pulling obscure and esoteric facts and stories slowly from his memory. And even Doug, who is not known for his patience, would wait for all to be revealed. It didn't matter where we went. We laughed and talked and just enjoyed being in each other's company. When Doug and I went to visit Linda on December 28, it was almost surreal, knowing this would be the last time I would ever see her. We talked, trying not to tax what little strength she had. She hugged me and said she loved me, and then when she asked me to write something for today's gathering, my heart broke. Linda, my friend, fellow traveler and lover of all things related to the teaching of English, I hope you were at least a little proud of my attempts to model the lessons I learned from you and the values that we shared, to fight for the importance of a well-rounded college education, to provide mentorship and guidance to fellow academic administrators, and most of all, to show that kindness is not weakness and that strength lies in integrity and honesty. Goodbye, my friend. Rest in peace.
Hello. My name is Ian Underhill, and I too am honored to pay tribute to Linda Payne as a longtime friend. Linda and I first met 50 years ago this past September at Western. It was the first day of classes, and three of us, Linda, Richard Taylor, and I, were in the same class. Linda had started her university life later than most, while Richard, newly arrived from England, and I, after 3 years in India, were also older than most of the other students. Linda approached the two of us and asked, "Is this the geezer section?" There was an instant bond. We met often that year in the cafeteria, discussing the literature we were reading and marveling at how young the other students were. We all went on to teach literature, and I believe that the love and respect that we had for the world of books was shaped, at least in part, by those cafeteria sessions. Certainly Richard, who went on to hold the Hardy Chair at the University of London, treasured those memories. He wrote the other day on learning of Linda's death this: "This is very sad news. I remember Linda warmly as a really nice, bright person. Her letter about her condition was so saddening to read, but so beautifully expressed. She was cheerful and kind, and I will remember her with admiration and affection." The following year, my first wife and I moved to Berkshire Village and discovered that we lived a block away from Linda. It became a regular occurrence for Linda to drop in and discuss the latest books with Sharon and me, an event we loved and continued till Linda left London. It was a number of years later that we met again, and I said to her, tongue planted firmly in cheek, how deeply saddened I was that she had become an administrator. But I was certain that it would not affect our friendship. Her response was typically, wonderfully, Linda. There was a brief pause, followed by that wonderful bark of laughter that could be heard 2 blocks away. That was followed by a string of curt phrases that cannot be repeated here, but which certainly put me in my place. When my first wife died in '97, Linda immediately called and asked whether she, as a lay minister, could help by conducting the memorial service. And this she did, not only with her usual calm efficiency, but with a quiet spirituality and sincerity and love that were also so typical of her. And when I married a second time, Linda, once again so characteristically, embraced Rochelle as a newfound friend. She was one of the most inclusive people I have ever known. Jim and Linda and Rochelle and I have enjoyed many lunches, glasses of wine and other liquids, and theater dates together. These sessions always involve good discussions across a wide range of topics. It was that same continuing quest for knowledge that saw Jim and Linda play such an active role in the Society for Learning and Retirement. That same love of learning that always reminded me of those cafeteria sessions so many years ago. And so, we say goodbye to an intelligent, loving, funny person that we were lucky to have as a friend. Linda, my literature compatriot and friend, I can wish you no better than this. May choirs of angels, preferably those with a good sense of humor and who have read the Man Booker shortlist, may choirs of angels sing thee to thy rest.
How do you capture life in a few paragraphs? Deciding what to say about my mom's life has been difficult. You may have known her as a student, as a college professor, as a friend, a colleague, or a family member, but to my sister Allison and I, she was just Mom. I'd like to tell you a little bit more. Linda Austin was born in Dauphin, Manitoba, where my grandfather was stationed in the Air Force as a bombardier trainer. The family moved all over the country during her younger years, as my grandfather changed roles with the military and then later with Gulf Oil. After Dauphin, she lived in Quinte Bay, Toronto, Calgary, Mississauga, and then at the age of 18, she left home to go to school at the University of British Columbia. My Aunt Joanne recently was reminiscing that her older sister was very bright, always had lots of friends, and was nominated prom queen at her high school. It was on the train trip to Vancouver that this vibrant young woman met my father, Aidan Spiller. Dad was working as a porter on the train to earn money while he was putting himself through university at UBC. They were married within a year, and within a year after that, I was born, and 2 years later, my sister Allison arrived. Both my parents felt strongly about getting an education. Even while raising a family, now back in Ontario, my mother continued to pursue her studies. She went on to get an honors degree in English literature and then a master's in English from the University of Western Ontario. Being the son of an English major had some drawbacks. I recall a time when I was about 6 or 7, Mom said, "Grant, clean your room." "I ain't doing it." She replied calmly, "It is, I am not doing it, and yes, you are doing it." She may have been onto something with that proper grammar stuff, since I ended up getting exempt from grade 12 in college English. On the other hand, it was years before I ever went to cleaning my room without being reminded. Throughout my early childhood, both my parents were either teachers or students, and my mom wanted to capitalize on the summers off. They sold our North London house and moved us to a rented townhouse in Berkshire Village and purchased a tent trailer. For many summers, on the last day of school, we would pack up the car and trailer and we would hit the road. One summer, we arranged to meet up with our family friends, the Grahams, in Quetico National Park, north of Lake Superior. During another, we traveled down through the American Eastern States with my mom's parents, Nanny and Grandpa. Most summers, though, it was just us exploring the parks of Ontario. But my favorite memory from those camping trips was my mom reading to us before bed. Allison and I particularly loved her reading of Anne of Green Gables, the whole series. I suspect my own love of reading is likely due to those evenings in the camper. Mom's love of reading and learning made it impossible for me to slack off in the educational arena. In grade 12, I was struggling with French, and my guidance counselor suggested I drop the course to avoid the failure from showing up on my college transcript. I thought that was brilliant, and I told Mom that night. The next day, I was summoned to the French classroom to find my mother in conversation with my French teacher discussing what extra work I needed to complete to pass the class. For my mom, dropping the class was never going to be an option. There were no shortcuts to an education. Spoiler alert, I passed. Near the end of high school, I unwisely informed my mother that I'd be taking a year off to consider my post-secondary options. The next day, she presented me with a bunch of college calendars and encouraged me to choose a program. And after you finish college, you can do what you want, she said. But by then, my job will be done. Mom's advocacy of education was not extended to just me and Allison. She was excited to support Julian and Ben's educational efforts and to cheer on my wife, Lisa, as she finished her own English degree at Western. Yes, I married an English major. I accept your pity. Mom found an apt partner in fellow college professor Jim Payne, who would become her second husband. Jim shared Mom's love of reading, learning, and travel. Together, they enjoyed many years balancing work and play. They especially loved entertaining their Seneca colleagues at dinner parties. Their Christmas party featuring a famously, perhaps infamously, rich and potent eggnog. To be near the family, Mom and Jim retired to Ilderton, where they settled into a more leisurely life. But true to their roots, became participants and moderators at the Center of Learning and Retirement. Mom and Jim loved their time researching and preparing seminars and presentations with their fellow retirees. To keep her mind sharp, Mom also spent hours playing wordscapes on her iPad. Her secret addiction, though, Angry Birds. Angry Birds. She bought and beat every version that became available. During retirement, Mom and Jim traveled extensively in Europe and North America. Mom loved to tell a good story and would spend hours capturing their travel stories in scrapbooks. It is hard to talk about my mom without also talking about my sister. Many of you know that we lost Allison 3 years ago to cancer. Mom was fiercely proud of Allison having reached her goal of being a practicing neurologist after so many years of work, and was devastated that her life would be cut short. She said at the time, a parent should never have to bury their child, and I believe Mom fully never recovered from this loss. If such things are possible, I truly hope Allison was there to greet Mom when she passed. I suspect that would make her whole again. These past few weeks have brought home that it's important that we remember not how they die, how people died, but how they lived. And Mom truly enjoyed life. Whether enjoying season tickets or to the local theaters, watching her beloved Blue Jays, or just enjoying a good book, she was an enthusiastic participant in life. Please join me in raising a glass to my mom, Linda Payne, to a life well lived. Cheers.